Are you sick?
No. This is all just, a precaution. They're, just making sure.
But you were with them. You could still get it.
No, I won't. They said this happens really, really fast.
Wow, this is just, I gotta tell you, this seems like a super creepy premise for a movie. Panic spreading across the world as an airborne virus quickly becomes an international epidemic.
That's the premise of this weekend's big release, Contagion. Our movie guy Aaron Lafferty is here with a preview of what we can see this weekend, and you are making a prediction here that this movie is going to knock The Help out of that top spot.
The Help at this point, it's gotten the good word of mouth. It's gotten the good reviews. Most people who have wanted to see it have probably seen it by now, with a few exceptions. And this is a big enough budget movie. This is a big enough cast just to get people in the theaters.
Big stars.
Right, absolutely.
I think the only thing that holds this movie back is the fact that it's opening September 11th weekend.
Right.
And you're talking about fear and panic. So maybe the date of release might have been not a good choice on this one. But basically the premise, you guys mentioned it, there's an airborne virus, it's spreading across the country, and the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, sends out a group of experts to kind of control and try to figure out where this started, how to stop it, and it doesn't seem like there's any chance of stopping it. So that's the big picture. The small picture is the Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, their family dynamic. She is on a business trip, she comes home with it, and so then he has to deal with her being sick, trying to handle the kids. We saw him in isolation there. So this is definitely, it's kind of a thriller, mystery, horror, kind of all put together. The thing is, it is kind of a bad weekend, I think, to release it. But I think it'll be #1.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you wonder maybe if somehow when they were planning when to release this, maybe they were thinking, if we do it, people are going to be thinking about, they're afraid of possible terrorists or whatever. But maybe they didn't realize with this 10th anniversary how much of our attention was going to be focused on looking back.
So that might be the one thing that holds it back from being as much #1. It might be fairly close. Where The Help is a little bit more of a not so serious kind of a movie.
Right.
Okay, so this is not the only new movie for the picking this weekend.
Right. Both Contagion and Warrior are getting really good reviews, so that's why I think both movies will do well. I think Warrior won't do quite as well because not as many people know about it. It's about
I've heard of this.
It's about mixed martial arts. Tom Hardy, who we saw in Inception and a couple other movies, he's a Marine who comes home to his hometown of Pittsburgh. There's a giant MMA championship. He starts training for it. His dad is Nick Nolte. He plays the coach, the father. Kind of a former recovering alcoholic kind of a thing. So you got this family dynamic. His older brother was a former MMA fighter. So in this big championship, they're kind of heading on the collision course to meeting in the final.
Interesting. It reminds me of the movie The Fighter. They got all the critical.
You got the fighter, you got the wrestler, you got Karate Kid, Rocky. Kind of you take all those movies, put them in a blender, and here you go.
Here you go. Exactly.
The one knock on this movie is that it's almost 2.5 hours long. So just be prepared for a long sitting of watching this movie. And it is PG-13, so you can take more of the family.
Okay, you have one rated R. That probably the premise means that it really is an R, and you do not want to take kids.
Yeah, and this is also probably one of the worst reviewed movies this year.
I'm not surprised.
I know I've said it before, but
reading the plot makes me think this is going to be an awful movie.
Instead of saying this could be Oscar-worthy, you can say this could be Razzie-worthy?
Yes, this is totally on track for Razzie. We're talking about Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star. Nick Swartzen's in this movie. It's a R-rated movie. Basically, he finds out that his parents back in the 70s were adult film stars. And he's kind of this nerdy guy who decides, well, I'm going to go set out to be a star myself. This is getting like 2 out of 10 from fans and critics. So, and those are people who have seen it. They saw it in advanced screenings. These are probably people who wanted to see this movie. So if they didn't like it, you can probably guess that you're probably not going to like it. So shy away, maybe rent it once it comes out.
Really?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
Really?
If you really
Interesting.
Obviously not the best Nick Swartzen R-rated comedy this year. 30 Minutes or Less is still in theaters, so.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's still an option.
But you actually have one that's out on DVD that was one of your all-time favorite movies. This summer.
This summer, right. We're talking about X-Men First Class. If you hadn't seen the other ones, it's okay. It actually comes out today. Most movies come out on Tuesday. This one actually releases today on DVD and Blu-ray. This takes you back to before Charles Xavier, created the X-Men. You got Magneto, the whole group there. This is all the dynamic before they became enemies. So they were friends, they became friends. You've got Kevin Bacon's the villain, a great villain. You know, any kind of action movie needs a good villain, and Kevin Bacon does that quite well. I gave this an 8.5, and it got it's got like 7s nationally.
I'll put it in my queue.
Yeah. It's certainly worth watching. If you like action movies, if you don't like action movies or superhero movies, then maybe shy away from it. But you know, the acting's good. Fassbender's really good. Kevin Bacon's really good. So I see we're running out of time, so I don't want to go too far. But a really good movie. I liked it.
You could always check out Laugh at the Movies on Facebook, at woodtv.com.
Yep.
Twitter.
Follow them on Twitter. Right. Yeah, and a lot of kind of gearing up to a big, several weeks in a row of some big movies coming out. So.
Right. Next week we've got The Lion King in 3D coming out, so that'll be fun. And there's a couple other good rentals out there too, so check that out.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
You bet.
Yep. We'll be right back.
Good weekend.